Hey guys, gonna try and do a quick review here on the new Age of Extinction Voyager Grimlock. I was lucky enough to get this at Walmart early, because I think they messed up by putting these out. There was no deluxe figures, they just had this Grimlock and the Voyager Evasion Mode Optimus. So new style box for the new movie. Stands out pretty good on the shelf, which is how it helped me find this. They were not where they were supposed to be. They were nowhere near the toys. They were stuffed in with sports stuff. So interesting box. He comes in robot mode. I find way too many Transformers come in robot mode now, because it's more. I find it more fun. They come in alt mode and then you transform them. So the instructions here, actually some nice colored instructions. Optimuses were as well. Grimlock does not have that difficult of a transformation. But the instructions actually are easy to follow. Sometimes you can get some steps in there that really don't make sense or to leave stuff out. But here we have movie Grimlock in alt mode, dyno mode. I had his ears, horns, whatever you want to call them, I had them down because I think it kind of looks silly with them up, but it's nice that you actually can put them down. You see his head moving a bit funny there. He does have an action feature, makes his jaw move, and it doesn't really get in the way that much, and you can move it on its own anyway. So it's actually not bad for an action feature, instead of it being some like crazy complicated thing that just gives you a ridiculous amount of kibble on the figure. I am going to say right off that the paint scheme on him, the colors I used, I really don't like all that like coppery brown. It's almost like they're making a Transmetal Megatron from Beast Wars. I wish it would have been more like how he looks in the movie with all that like silver. Definitely gonna have to paint this, unless they make like a nice throwback G1 paint variant, which would be really nice. So dyno mode is my favorite of the two modes. It actually pulls off the look pretty good, and it stays together pretty well. The only thing that's weird is his underpart here with his forearms. Those don't lock into place, so they can move around quite a bit, but it's not that bad. It's a lot better than Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, where he just had a giant gaping hole underneath. This one's a lot more solid. And I'm going to show you his weapon now because of something the instruction shows. It looks really stupid in my opinion. His traffic light mace, to me it looks like a traffic light, but it's like this crazy mace that actually does come apart. But in the instructions they show for when he's in dyno mode, in alt mode, that you actually put this on his tail to be the end of his tail. Like I thought it was like, oh, so it's just like storage, but no, they think that, yep, here's his tail. It makes no sense at all. And it's actually made to fit right on there. There's little grooves for the tail to slide into the top of the mace. But that looks retarded, and I'm definitely not going to be doing that. And when it's on there, it's pretty snug. Oh, that's pretty silly. I don't think anyone's going to be doing that. It looks a lot better like this. So he's got pretty good articulation like this. Probably mostly because his legs transform into his arms. There's ball joints on his forearms, but like I said, how that's not pegged into anything. You pretty much have to hold it if you want to move those around. You can move his horns, you can move his jaw. But now, let's transform him. And like I said, he doesn't have that difficult a transformation. The only thing that's a little Slow is how his head comes apart to become his shoulders. His tail is his feet. Said his head becomes his shoulders. So this splits apart. Lifts up from the lower jaw. Oh yeah, I'm doing something wrong. This big plate that covers his head is in the way. And when these come out, you have to flip them around that piece, get that past them. The pole's going to slide through there. Spin his head around. Mine actually came a little messed up in the package because the top of his helmet, or for his head, that's not painted. That's a separate piece with the pointed part. The little screw that holds it on. You can see the screw there. The screw was like very, very loose. And when I transformed him the first time, the top of his head came off. And I was just like, oh crap. Is that just loose? But no, big flaw in how that little screw is in the package. It's not. Once you get that part done with the shoulders, the rest of it just pretty simple. You definitely need to put his horns up when you put him into robot mode, because they will not, you don't really have room to snap that together there if they're pointed down. And his fists come out of his feet. And here's where we get into some trouble with him for kibble. Not that most forms we've had of Grimlock didn't have some form of kibble. Jeez, stuff does just not want to go there. So yeah, he's got some back kibble there for sure, from that piece that pretty much just covered his head in Dino mode, and the jaw. But the jaw looks alright from the front because it just looks like it's part of his armor, because he looks like a weird glorified samurai. He really reminds me of Escaflowne, the anime. But there you have him. Not too crazy about this look for Grimlock. It's hard not to get him because he is Grimlock, but most of my problem is the colors. That coppery color is just really blah. Would look better gold. So he does have some paint on his chest, a little Autobot symbol underneath it. His eyes, there's no light piping, they're just painted green, along with the eyes for for Dino mode, sorry. And when he's the T-Rex, the eyes actually look really cool because it's sculpted detail in there, it's not just flat. But the arms are the worst part, because his feet become his arms. You're left with all this kibble, and like his hand turns at the end of it, but like all of this is attached to his hand. So like if you want to bend his arm like this, you can move this, but like if you have the hand down like that, this will peg into it. But I mean, it looks kind of funny like that. It's all like, bring it on! So he's got ball joint up on his shoulder. He's got that weird hands with that kibble. Bend his elbows. Ball joint at the hips. You can bend his knees. His feet. That's just one big piece like that. And that locks in place like that. If you want to like have it leaning back, he'll just fall over because they're totally loose unless you lock them. But he can have some better stances because of how his legs go together for his tail. There's like a swivel joint in there. So you can actually give him some better stances because those feet are just locked in place unless you want him to fall over. And holding his weapons awkward as well, because if you had the Platinum Ultra Magnus, the goofy handles they put on the hammer, this has one of those too. He does not have open hands. You cannot make him hold it anywhere other than pegging that handle in. I just find the weapons are kind of silly like that. So he can't two-hand this. You can make him look like he is, but you can only hold it with the one. And he's trying to fall over because the legs, not the legs, but the feet keep unsnapping. So, he's not horribly bad. With a better paint scheme, he'd look so much better. His weapon's a bit goofy. He's got that horrible arm kibble. But he still looks badass. I mean, he looks like Super Shredder from the second Ninja Turtle movie. An Escaflowne. And a samurai. It's just a very strange Grimlock. But, if you're a fan of Grimlock, you should still pick him up. T-Rex mode is better than the Fall Cybertron one. I'm sure there's going to be a better version of this come out. So thank you very much for watching. Sorry for all the out of focus bits and me not being used to doing Transformer reviews, but these just came out and I know a lot of people want to see it, so hope you enjoyed.